Hello everyone, it is I, Pachyrhinosaurus, and today I'll be reviewing the Jurassic World Roarivores Pachyrhinosaurus. Pachyrhinosaurus was a medium-sized ceratopsid from Alaska and Canada back in the late Cretaceous. It fed on plants, and uniquely for a ceratopsid, it had no nose horn. And it had a thick nasal bus, it's called, which it may have used for ramming into rivals like modern muskoxen or budding predators such as Nanuqsaurus or the Alaskan troodontid. Anyway, with that said, this was actually a mislabeled toy. Back in 2018 when it was made, Mattel had produced it, like when they were producing it, they had labeled it as a Pachyrhinosaurus, but it came out for Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, and that movie had a Sinoceratops, and so the box that they made was labeled as Sinoceratops. However, it and Pachyrhinosaurus do not look anything alike, or at least not in the head. And so I don't know how they screwed that up, or how they decided to screw that up. But besides the huge mishap of the box and animal situation, it's a pretty decent model. A Pachyrhinosaurus is actually not one I would have ever expected them to make anytime soon. It's okay detailed. There are scales, but they're not well made, and it's relatively smooth. There are also these larger bumps here and there, which are accurate for ceratopsians. It's just lacking the quills on the tail that a ceratopsian would have, although I think that was a more recent discovery. The toes are not colored. Well, they're colored, but they're not painted individually. And I think there's one too many toes. Yeah, there's 5 toes. I think ceratopsians had 4 toes, but that's okay. I don't really complain there. The coloration is overall nice. It might not be the best for the Alaskan species of Pachyrhinosaurus, but overall it is good. It's like this apple green with creamish white stripes on its back, on its front legs, and patterning on its head with some orange patterning on the frill as well. It's a relatively bland pattern on the frill, but the fact that there's color where the fenestra would be, or holes in the skull, it's pretty nice. It's a pretty realistic thing, and I also like how the orange overlaps with the creamish white, so that's pretty nice as well. Unfortunately, the eye is not colored. It is just a black blob with the same color as the body as the pupil, which Mattel did back in the early days of their years making dinosaurs. The beak is a gray. The creamish white is also the underside color and runs along the entire underside of the dinosaur. And the horns are actually display the correct horn structure of Pachyrhinosaurus, and so that is good as well. The detail on the head, except for the back of the frill. The back of the frill is pretty meh in terms of detail, but the front of the head and frill is really well done, especially around the snout. The nostrils are actually extremely well done. They may be flaring a bit too much, but the detail there is excellent nonetheless. In terms of articulation, it being a quadruped, it doesn't really do a lot. The tail was an add-on. Because of the box it was in, the tail was not attached, but it came, so you had to snap the tail on in one-time assembly, and it does not twist or anything. It's just there. As seen here, the legs can stake out for better balance, although honestly, a balance is better perfectly fine without the legs sticking out because of the quadruped. The back legs can move in a 360 circle. Front legs are capable of sticking out some and moving a little bit, but not in a 360 circle. The bottom of the feet are pretty flat. They have toe, claw and foot details, but are otherwise relatively flat. There's the Jurassic logo and the DNA scan code for the fax app. And besides that, the head can move side to side manually, and it can also move up and down with the press of this button. However, this being Roarivores, there is a speaker on its underside, as you probably saw by now. and therefore it roars. It has 4 different roars, which alternate about 16 times in a different pattern. Yes, I've counted. I've had this thing for 3 years. And it's got decent roars. I can't exactly place what animal they come from in the franchise itself, or if they're just random sounds Mattel created, or like took from other animals that live today. I can't really tell, but it's got nice roars for a Pachyrhinosaurus. Some of the roars sound a lot, well, not a lot, but a bit like the Triceratops or Stegosaurs from The Lost World Jurassic Park, but I can't really tell. I think they're just roars Mattel made for the toy itself. And if so, they sound pretty good. So that one in particular is like a low rumble up to the grunt. I guess they're more grunts than roars, or at least some of them. And even if I can't place where they're from, they still sound good. A couple of them, like that one, they added like leaf sounds, or like it's rustling through plants or something like that. And so, yeah, the roars overall for our Pachyrhinosaurus are decent. And with that said, it's a nice action feature as well, because it's like, as a ceratopsid, Mattel usually makes the action feature where it lifts its head. But, like, the striking feature of the nasal boss instead of a horn with the roars, or at least the lifting of the head, looks really good. So I'll give them there. That looks good on its own, even without the roars. And so, yeah, this was the Roarivores Pachyrhinosaurus. It's pretty good. The only problem is that they labeled it as a Sinoceratops, and I got confused. I've never heard of Sinoceratops before, and so I thought they were the same thing. Yeah, they were not. But, yeah, that was back in 2018. This thing came out, I got it in 2020, so it would have been about $15. These days, it can go for a lot more. I know this, because I've seen them on, like, eBay or something like that when I was searching for different Roarivores. And so they can go for a lot more. But yeah, that was the Pachyrhinosaurus. Hope you enjoyed today's episode, and I'll see you again next time. Goodbye.